Edition of Behind the Law with Justin Clark and AlliMac, here to answer any legal question that you may have. Anything from accident to zoning, dial up the phones 321-282-1055. Plenty of information on the website. YouHavePower.com. Plenty of ways to interact with the program. Watch the show live on Facebook or any social media platform at Behind the Law, or just type in ATTY Justin Clark and you can watch the show live anytime. And you can ask us questions right here directly, and we'll answer them right here. We'll all put our heads together. We'll try our best, if nothing else, right? And also, don't forget to watch the TV program Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. on Central Florida's 27 WRDQ. Joining me as always is AlliMac. Hi, AlliMac. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
Thank you for being here yesterday while Mick Dolan was working the polls.
He was working them.
I'm going to have to explain this,
today.
I guess.
Double
I'm going to have to explain
there as well.
working the
That's all right.
polls.
So how was that? You were there all day long?
Yes,
Really?
I
Like,
was.
and were you the guy who tells me to scan the thing in the machine, or was that was you?
Or I'll do it for you. In your case,
Oh,
I
you
would
can
have
do
to do it
it.
for you.
You're probably right.
You know,
Probably right.
it's a certain way you have to insert the ballot.
Special guest joining us, and welcome back, Mick. We did miss you yesterday, my friend. The beautiful Brianna is here as well, behind the scenes, answering your questions, writing them on the little board at least, so we can answer them live. Very special guest today, Rick Singh. He is your Orange County property appraiser. Mr. Singh, how are you, sir?
I am unbelievable.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And like I told you, Carrie Baker, please don't think I'm cheating on you by any means. I still love you. But, you know, we're here in Orange County, so I wanted to have Rick on as well to talk about issues that we have in Orange County. You know, Carrie Baker, great guy.
I'm a little insulted. I mean, I'm a hell of a lot better looking than Carrie.
That's right.
That's a challenge.
You don't own a gun shop, though. That's the only problem.
That's true. I'm not as cool as Carrie. Carrie's got a gun shop.
So let me ask you a question straight off the bat, because we're coming off an election night. And first of all, my guys had a tough time in Seminole County last. I don't know if you're following with Mick Dolan. We lost a lot of elections we were supporting, but you know, you win some, you lose some, that's fine. But what I noticed is running an election, even a small office like maybe a county commissioner or a school board member, you think that, you know what, you just kind of put your name in the hat, you don't have to do a whole lot. These guys work their tails off, Rick. What do you think?
Absolutely. You know, it's it's not just what you see. It's the preparatory stuff before. You know, when I ran in 2012, I started my campaign in 2010, 2 years out. The guy I ran against was a 30-year career politician, 12-year incumbent. To unseat a guy like that, you've got to have your ducks in a row, and you've got to put in the work. And I actually wrote a piece today on Facebook complimenting everybody that ran, whether they won, whether they lost. It's just the fact they ran, which was, you know, it's a tremendous sacrifice.
So for the property appraiser's office, how often do you have to run?
So it's a 4-year term. All constitutional officers in the state of Florida, which we are independently elected constitutional officers, are 4-year terms, and we're on a presidential cycle. So luckily, I didn't have to run this time around.
I think a lot of people are a little confused by this constitutional officer thing as well. You hear Joel Greenberg in Seminole County talk about it a lot, that, you know, I'm a constitutional officer. This is a constitutional office, I guess, as opposed to your state rep is a little bit different. Help me understand the difference of those two.
Who's Joel Greenberg?
Yeah. Joel's been on the show.
I know. Joel's a friend.
Yeah.
So constitutional officers are independently elected. They are essentially ministers or ministerial positions, if you will. And they serve as, you know, the Constitution is written in such a way that these are independently elected offices, and they function as independent institutions, where local government traditionally don't have, you know, a voice or influence over these offices.
Gotcha.
State House, of course, they're districts, they're smaller entities. To be a state rep, I think you need maybe 40,000 votes. To be a constitutional officer in Orange County, you need about 300,000 votes. So it's a countywide race, which is another monster to talk about, you know.
It's a big county.
Yes, 1,000 square miles.
Well, I mean, that brings me to the next question. So your job, all you have to do is go around every year and tell us what every single parcel in the entire county is worth. No big deal, right? I mean, how do you really do that?
No big deal.
Yeah.
We do it 1 day a week. And we just hang out the rest of the year. You know? No, this is tremendous. This is tremendously serious work. Orange County has the most complex tax roll in the world. We're the only county in the world that has 17 park, over 16,000 timeshare units, 84,000 hotel rooms, $4.2 billion this past year of new construction, which which is $12 million of new construction every single day in the county.
Wow.
Again, your property appraiser has to keep track of this, it's his responsibility. We've got close to 400, we've got about 600,000 parcels with tangible personal property accounts. So again, it's a monster, it's a tremendous work. When I took office in 2013, our tax roll was about 110, 111 billion dollars. Today it's 190 billion dollars, close to 190 billion dollars. Such growth in such a short period of time.
Unbelievable. You brought a friend as well today, by the way.
Yes.
We have to introduce her, please.
Well, she's not a friend, she's an employee
Yeah.
and a friend. Shella is here with us, and of course she keeps me in line, make sure I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I'm saying the right thing, so.
Thanks for getting him here on time, and
Thank
he's
you.
got a
Thank you.
pre-meeting. It was great, good job. And it brings me to the next question. I mean, running an office like this you're running a huge business as well. How many employees does it take to run your office?
So before we say that, that's one of the things I brought to government. I came from small business, from a small business background, running a small business, and that's something I implemented immediately into a government office, and that's business practices. Too many politicians or elected officials run their office like it's a government institution. At the end of the day, I've got a budget, I have a product, I have a staff, I have everything, all the earmarks of a business, so run it like a business. And that has yielded tremendous results in terms of response from the public and service to the public. If you come to our office, the average wait time is 1.5 minutes. If you call us, the longest you should be on hold is 30 seconds.
Wow.
We survey everybody that comes to this office, and we receive a 99.9% customer satisfaction rating. So again, we run it like an office. When I took office in 2012, again 2013, I swore in, we had 150 employees. Today we've got about 150 employees, but the tax roll has gone up almost 70%. How do we do that? We leverage technology, we implement policies and procedures that are more streamlined, and we get extremely, we hire well, and we've got a tremendous staff that are really, really dedicated, so I'm very blessed.
What did you do before?
I was an appraiser.
Okay. Hey. Wow.
So my career is an interesting career. I started in an entry-level position at the property appraiser's office, worked for Rich Crotty, got state certified. I went to night school and evening school and got state certified, and then I said, there's more to this, and I went in the private sector and started an appraisal company. Beating the streets and knocking on doors, and started an appraisal company, and then that evolved into a real estate company, opened a couple of Century 21 franchises, and a mortgage company. So it's a one-stop real estate shop. And then, my predecessor, Rich Crotty, had gotten appointed, I should say, to the mayor's position in Orange County. A county commissioner who was out of work got his buddy Jeb Bush to get my job. So my predecessor was Bill Donegan, and he became property appraiser, served for about 12 years. But every election I watched, and this guy, who was extremely, extremely popular politician, was barely creeping by. So I saw the opportunity, and I actually Googled how to run a political campaign. Really, I seriously Googled. I'd never been involved in politics. And I actually Googled how to run a political campaign. And up popped the Sorensen Institute of Political Training, University of Virginia had a program. So I wrote them a letter, hey, I want to come to your institution. And they sent me a response back, no, Virginia residents only. I'm like, come on, man, So I have a little sympathy here. So I sent them back a note. I was a soldier, I was stationed at Fort Eustis, I actually taught there. I had a family there, I had everything. And then, I persuaded them to, after being persistent, to go to the Sorensen Institute, and came back and ran my own campaign, and the rest was history.
Talking to Rick Singh, you're listening to Behind the Law. Justin Clark, AlliMac, Mick Dolan here with you. So, do you remember where you were sitting the moment you said, you know what, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to actually run for office.
Yeah, I was actually taking a test, and Obama got elected, and I didn't think Obama would get elected. I was in the Hillary camp. Not because I thought Obama wasn't eminently qualified. I just didn't think America was ready to elect a person of color. I just didn't think that. And he got elected, and he gave this amazing speech, and I said, you know what, that is inspiration. And I just, off the cuff, made the decision, I'm going to run for office. And when I told my wife, I'm going to run for office, and she looked at me like I had a hole in my head. So you're going to do what? You've never been involved with politics. How are you just going to run for office? I said, I'm going to do it. I really was never involved in business either, but I did it, right? And never looked back.
And you guys just celebrated your annual event. Can you tell talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
so
that?
when I took office again in 2013, I keep going back to that, but when I took office, there's a demarcation in our calendar where we as property appraisers around the state and around the country send what's called best estimates to Tallahassee. So our field appraisers go out in the field and gather a lot of data, and we send what's called a best estimate to the Department of Revenue. That number traditionally in Orange County was given to mayors and city managers and city administrators, slid on the doors, and in an environment of secrecy. So being a new property appraiser, I asked the question, why are we doing this in this environment of secrecy? Why don't we tell the public about this information and be transparent? And nobody could give me a sensible answer, so I said, well, you know what, we're gonna have an event. So we had an event at Full Sail, had a couple of people, and really I presented the numbers, very much like I just mentioned, you know, what new construction is going, what our tax roll, how much of a percentage increase, what residential is doing, what commercial is doing, and presented it in a very cohesive fashion. And then I brought on the stakeholders who was involved for the growth, because that year we started to experience tremendous growth. And we had a dialogue, we had a panel, we had a dialogue, and this thing just blossomed and got steroids and became the preeminent real estate event in Orange County. We just had it last Thursday. We had upwards of 1,100 people at the Wyndham, had a panel discussion, and it was very, very well received.
Many of you know, if you're thinking about selling your home, you can go to Zillow or Appraisal, but then you also get the tax bill in the mail every year too, and that number is always quite a bit different. Do you know why that is, and which number should you use when considering how much to list that price for? Right on the other side of this break, Behind the Law on Bud 1941.
Okay, so you know those shows where they kind of say, okay, this is coming up, and then
Yeah.
somebody, like, what is it, the Storage Wars. So they find something in particular, and you're like, oh my God, what is it that they found? And it goes right to break. You're like, oh man, that's you right there.
Coming back.
Teaser.
Coming back in just 60 seconds.
Yeah.
The Justin Clark.
So were you talking about a trim notice? Because I just,
Look at her. She's
Oh,
got the
wow.
lingo.
I mean, that's something you should ask.
I got you, girl, I got you.
Trim
So-
You have to
notice?
understand,
We'll talk
most
about-
people in the
she's
general
got-
public don't know any of this stuff. You know, even though
I
we
didn't
know
know what it
people
was 'cause
don't
they
know.
just-
Oh, okay. No one knows this
Well, I
stuff.
actually do know a definition of trim.
What is it?
Oh. Take it easy.
I wanna hear his
Whoa,
definition.
whoa.
No, we don't.
Answer, he's talking, guys.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Trim your
No, we
lawn.
don't.
See that this is not the
Trim the
place.
bushes.
Between the processor, the whole.
Yeah.
We got a lot, there's too much
Now
going
we're
on for
talking about
today's
trimming.
show.
We're gonna have a show. All right.
That's a show. Too much for
Can you
one.
handle it, Justin, is the question.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay.
Let's see.
Bud 94.1, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
All right. And welcome back to the program. Justin Clark with you. I have AlliMac. I have Orlando radio legend Mick Dolan. You're listening to the daily program of Behind the Law on Bud 94.1. You can watch us live on Facebook at ATTY Justin Clark, Behind the Law Radio, all sorts of different places. Just search for Behind the Law and we'll pop up. And you can ask us any question you want while you're watching live as well, and we're happy to answer them right here on the air. Watch the TV program, Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Central Florida's 27. Look, if you're at home right now and you're not going to be there Sunday, go ahead and DVR it. What do you call? What's the proper term for DVR now? It's not TiVo, I know.
Is that-
Do I say DVR? Do I say record? What do you
I
think is
say
the proper
record.
term?
Yeah.
Record it.
Record.
So record it. Just hit record.
We're not there.
Make it a weekly recording.
Record it on your Betamax.
We need the ratings, you know, and it's actually kind of an interesting show. So please do watch Behind the Law on Central Florida's
What's a
27.
Betamax?
Yeah.
I don't know. What
It's
is
been a
it?
while.
Before my time.
It's
been
been
a
a
while.
while for
Oh,
me
you're
as
older
well.
than that. Come on.
What was
Or
before
VHS,
Betamax,
that's fine.
McDowell?
I have no idea.
God, I don't know. Super 8?
All right. 321-282-1055. We're honored to be joined by Orange County property appraiser Rick Singh. Rick, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
The question before the break was this. Many people are thinking about selling their home or refinancing their home or just want to know what their house is worth. You know, it's a valid question. We went through the worst depression essentially here. I mean, this was sort of the epicenter of the real estate collapse in 2008, 9, 10. But now what you're realizing is your property values are going back up. You want to figure out what your property is worth. Makes sense, right? But I go to Zillow and it says $200,000. But then I go look on your website and it says $160,000. Generally speaking, I find that maybe it's about 75% of the actual value. Explain how this works.
So firstly, my website is like the best website in the world. I just want to say that. OCPAFL.org. But seriously, our website has tremendous information that's qualified. Zillow don't necessarily qualify their information. And what do I mean by that? You could be, you know, in a prestigious gated community with homes, and you could be outside that community that don't have the amenities of this gated community, and Zillow don't know that there's a fence around this community and would select that home outside the subdivision as a comparable. That essentially would pollute the pristineness of the appraisal. So your value would be tainted. At the property appraiser's office, we qualify these sales, and our data is tremendously better than Zillow. So I say that to say that, you know, we have two values, which is of course the market value, which is market driven. It's no hidden secret here. We look for like properties, and then, you know, it's a process that's called regression analysis. Throughout the highs, throughout the lows, and what's left in the middle, we implement something that's called paired sale analysis, do some adjustments, and we come up with a value. So that's the market value. Then you have something that's called exemptions or deductions of some kind, which you may or may not qualify for. After you take those away, an example of that is homestead exemption, senior exemption, military exemption, widow exemption. After you extract that from the market value, you're left with assessed value. That number is again bounced against a millage rate, which is applied by your county commissioners, your city managers. These are the folks that's responsible for lowering and raising your taxes. So when your taxes go up, don't call the property appraiser. All I do is assess your property. Call those folks. And I put their number on the back of that millage rate, that millage notice that I send for that reason, for you to call them, and don't call me. Call me for assessment. I will answer your question all day long when you're talking about value. But when you're talking about taxes, you know, you need to call those municipalities. So after the millage rate is applied to the assessed value, that is essentially how your tax is derived.
And so isn't there some kind of law or in the Constitution or somewhere that says it's supposed to be less than the real value because to account for real estate, maybe this is a rumor, but I heard that it's supposed to be less to account for real estate commissions or whatever it is if you were to sell your home. Is there any truth to that?
No, there's absolutely no.
Oh, rumors.
heard it here
Rumors.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there is a rule of thumb that many appraisers will tell you we're 80% of market value, we're 20% of market value. They throw an enormous, percentage out there. But the reality is, it's a market driven, and it's the assessment less. It's the market value less your deductions from your exemptions. There are ratios sometime, and every market is going to differ, right? There are ratios that we apply sometimes, but there's no rule of thumb. There's no standardized 85% or 80%. I hear that number often, and I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah. All right, so back in the olden days, Mick Dolan, you might be able to understand this. Back in the old days when you were doing real estate...
Hey, what do you mean by that?
You really... I'm sorry, buddy. You know I love you. You would really have to send someone, whether you're doing a title search or whatever, you have to send someone down to the property appraiser's office to actually do any research, right? I mean, how did we go from a society that we literally had to go down there and open up these boxes and pull out cards to the technology-driven way we're doing it now? I mean, how did we even get here? I mean, this is not an easy transition, right? I mean, how do you enter all this information?
Took a long time.
Yeah, so our computer system is phenomenal. We actually, the mass appraisal world and computer system started in Orange County, ironically, in the early 70s. A gentleman by the name of Ginny House, who lived here, started a camera system, which we now use, and the entire mass appraisal world use a camera system, and so it took its birth here. We input that information into the system, and then we apply ratios, and we outspit. The outcome of that is your values. But we utilize tremendously advanced technology, GIS technology. Mapping system is second to none. We've got accuracy to 1 inch with our aerial imagery. And again, our website is phenomenal. 8.5 million visitors, 1 to 2 searches per second, and 5 million unique visitors on this website.
So everything is, essentially electronic, and that makes sense in this day and age, of course, but do you actually have boots on the ground to go out and inspect things or go see what's really going on in some properties?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've got about 40 to 60 field appraisers, and they will go and knock on doors and ask questions, because at the end of the day, no one knows a home better than the homeowner, right? Your property appraiser don't, your realtors don't. They're living this home, they know. So our appraisers go and verify this record, and we're statutorily required to do this every 5 years. We try to do it every 3 years. And again, 630,000 parcels of property, it's quite a task. And if we can't do it physically, then we will do it in a desktop environment. We have software that will look at your home and determine if there's any meaningful change, and we will make those changes.
Am I supposed to be hiding from these guys? Let me ask it like this. So let's say my neighbor thinks that my assessed value is less than theirs, and they're mad. So they're going to call your office and say, "You need to go check out this guy Justin Clark's house. I know it's worth more, and I'm getting screwed on taxes, and he's not paying enough."
Well, if you're wanted by the law, then you need to be hiding from them.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, no, you don't need to be hiding from our appraisers. I mean, we are, they're very courteous, and they're looking for facts. They're not looking to increase or decrease your assessment. And, I often tell people, look, I'm an appraiser. I get paid the same if your property is worth $1 million or $10. I don't have skin in this game. My job is to ensure that it's fair and equitable, and that is essentially what we look to do.
And you guys do have a lot of social media in your websites to inform the homeowners of certain information of the homeowners, as property tax appraiser, of any events that you're having as well. So
yeah, so we firmly believe in transparency and interacting with the community. Last Thursday night, one of my statements was, to serve a community, you must know a community. And we do so tremendously well with social media. We've leveraged Facebook, we've leveraged Instagram, Snapchat, all the social media venues we try to maximize with the resources that we have, absolutely.
in your office.
Communicating with the public and disseminating information, talking about social media. And when we sent our packages up there, they were in a state of awe to know that an office this small can deliver such good public information to our public here in Orange County, just as in Orange County. And this year I was named, and I think it's embargo was removed. So I was named the Ian Klung Award, which is an award for leadership, global leadership in real estate practices. So I'll be receiving that next month in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I believe, for the International Association of Assessing Officers. And this is we've got 67 counties in Orange County. The Property Appraiser's Office in Orange County is ranked #1 for accuracy of assessment, #1 for defensive assessment and efficiencies. So we are a tremendously efficient office.
Do the theme parks like you though?
The theme parks love us. I go there and I pay my bill and I go in. I pay my ticket and I go in and I ride the ride.
That's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about your assessment and nailing them on stuff.
So look, at the end of the day, a lot of entities, not only theme parks, were getting away with murder. There's never been a property appraiser to assess to be at the helm of the property appraiser's office in Orange County. And I ran on the idea of the property appraiser must be eminently qualified to deal with appraisal issues of the day. When I got there were some major appraisal issues of the day. An example, one theme park, now think about this, the entire theme park is assessed less than the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. That's startling.
Wow.
Right, exactly. I get that wow all the time. The entire theme park is assessed less than the Amway Arena, right? So I had to essentially bring it fair and equitable. From an assessment standpoint, your property appraisers can only raise it 10%, but the market is going up 10 or 12%. So that's really stagnation. It's really not doing any improvement. But the market value was also retarded in terms of valuation. So what I did was took the market value to what it should be, which is market value. By applying fair and equitable techniques, and they didn't like that, they don't like it, but they took that message to the Value Adjustment Board and pleaded these cases. It's a quasi-judicial system where they have an eminently qualified magistrate that listens to these cases, and we won all of these cases at the Value Adjustment Board. Our rate of defense at this Value Adjustment Board is impeccable. We are ranked #1 for defensive assessment. So the next step from that is, of course, the court system, and they filed some lawsuits in court, and we've won quite a bit, and we've lost one, but we're appealing that one.
Well, you got their attention is what you did.
Well, we got, more importantly,
they know now that you're serious about
but
this.
more importantly, I think the single mother that's working 2 jobs to make ends meet, having to pay her fair share of taxes, is whose attention we got, because she knows that her property appraiser is doing what he's supposed to do, and what he was elected to do, to be fair and equitable. Not because someone has a bigger checkbook or headquarters is in a specific zip code or area code, they have more prominence or influence on the valuation. It should be fair, it should be equitable, and that's what I try to instill in my appraisers and in my office.
Have
You got my vote there.
Well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have you ever wondered how to save money on those taxes yearly? And do you live in this house? Is this your primary home? What is this homestead protection that allegedly saves you money every year on your property tax bill? Right on the other side of this break, Justin Clark, Behind the Law, 94.1.
Nice timing.
We're calling someone.
And the phone rings.
That's good, guys.
Yeah.
All right, what am I missing that we need to address?
I like
Oh,
that
that's
passion over there. I like that
We
passion
still
Yeah.
have to talk
over
about the
there.
polls, man. What's going on?
I like that. Great.
All right. I do have to have an explanation
For
about
what?
polls.
What about?
Yes.
I'm not climbing
He's not a
polls.
dancer.
No.
I'm working the polls.
I know, I said that. I thought it was funny. You're working the polls.
I know it.
You're not
You
gonna
were,
get
but
caught up, so-
technically
And,
you
yeah,
weren't.
nobody got that.
Anything that I'm missing right now?
No,
Anything I
you're
really
doing a
missed?
fantastic job. I'm trying to think, we talked about trim already? Yeah, we talked about trim, we talked about.
Talk about
The
State of Orange
homestead
County.
is
That's
looking
it.
Well, wait a
good.
minute, no, we didn't talk
I
about
don't think we
trim
really
on
got.
the air.
I don't think we really simplified trim.
Okay, let's.
Yeah, we can talk about
Yeah.
that. Basically, what's important is letting people know once they got that trim, what their options are. So
What
there's a lot of
trim is?
options that they have at their
And what it
disposal.
is.
Yeah, what it is. I
What
think
about
that's-
Not
rental
what I thought it
properties
was.
versus residents?
What's that?
Rental properties versus residents.
Sure, we can talk about that.
Because I know that there's a lot of people that do have the
Yeah.
second homes that do make, you know, that do have that,
So we've got two more 12-minute segments, I think, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Also, what do you think about the real estate market? Is it gonna go up? Is it gonna go down? Is the
Prediction.
bubble gonna burst? Let's talk
Should I
about
sell?
Sure.
Should I sell? Should I buy?
Should I
Let's
keep?
talk about that. It's a pretty good topic.
And obviously you guys.
No, really, should I sell?
Yeah, you guys
No,
can
no,
chat
seriously,
about
should
that.
I
What's
say?
happening?
Yeah.
Should I say?
I keep asking questions.
They make me do the heavy lifting.
That's what we're here for.
We're just, I thought we was,
No, you were.
Just here to set
I'm just
free.
kidding. But I just don't. I hope you're not afraid to chime in anytime, of course.
it's like playing double dutch.
Yeah. All right. You ready?
Right, you go.
I'm Irish, so.
Welcome back to Behind the Law with Justin Clark and AlliMac. Orlando radio legend Mick Dolan is here. 321-282-1055. The website www.youhavepower.com. We're honored to be joined by Orange County property appraiser Rick Singh. Rick, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're listening to us right here on Bud 94.1. So the question before the break was about Homestead. And this is, as a real estate attorney myself, a question that I get probably more than any other. It's, what is Homestead? What does it do for me? And maybe more importantly, when do I apply for it?
So a homestead is essentially an exemption that you can apply for at the property appraiser's office. March 30th, the end of March is probably the cutoff time for it. But so it's important that you get that application in before. If you've got just cause and you're traveling or you're get it in. Just get it in. Let me say that. All right. Let's not talk about it. Get it in.
Start there.
Yeah, let's start there. So it's very important that you file appropriately. And what it'll do is essentially establish that this is your homestead. There are many legal ramifications to that, taxation purposes and all of that. But what it also does is give you a deduction. $25,000, and you can also apply for a second homestead, which is $50,000. But what it also does, the major part of this, it essentially keeps your property stifled in terms of increase in valuation at a 3% cap. It caps your property. And that's very, very important to save dollars because, again, we've got a robust economy. We've got an economy since 2013 when I took office that's increased double digits every year. So if the economy is going up, or real estate prices are going up double digits, 10%, and your increase, your assessed value is going up 10%, well, obviously your taxes will be higher. What Homestead does is essentially it protects you against that, save our home cap. And the cap essentially can only go up at increments of 3% per year. So it's tremendous savings for homeowners. That once they sell that home, then that cap is removed and a new buyer will recognize or realize, I should say, the increase.
So it basically, the value of your home goes down by $25,000 for
When you-
tax.
Yes. So the first $25,000 is removed. You get a deduction, and then you're assessed on the remainder of the value.
Well,
of
isn't
your
that
home.
why your assessed value would be less
Would be
than
lower
the
because
Zillow?
it is homesteaded.
Yes. So that's what we talked about earlier. We talked about market value, and then we talked about applying those exemptions.
What was the second, home exemption that you were talking about?
So the second homestead exemption is if your home is priced at, I believe it's $150,000 and above, you can apply for that and you can get that also. So that's something, all that information is on our website. So go on our website, you can get that information.
What's your website?
ocpafl.org.
All right, and this is actually a question from the prior segment. I'm sorry to interrupt. There's
Oh,
very good
Justin, you're
conversation,
here.
but I had to say. So you hold a esteemed office here, but I think you've done such a nice job and such a likable guy. I mean, I don't hear anyone complain about you. So I don't
I don't know. There are a couple of people out
There
there.
Really?
you go.
But I mean, you're doing something. I'm really
Well,
not.
wait a minute, Justin, he put his name on the cars.
Oh, yeah.
That was bad.
That was, hold on.
No.
Why are you saying that was
I'm
bad?
kidding. But, well, gee, that's his name. He is the appraiser.
Yeah.
Put it on the car.
What I'm trying to say is you have a persona that I think could go far in politics. Could this office be a political stepping stone for something more?
Who knows?
Okay. I just
You know,
wanted to say,
Justin,
you feel like someone who has, it's a great job, don't get me wrong.
No,
But I get a feeling when I'm around you that it could be something even higher up. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm an appraiser. I love doing what I'm doing. I've got some more work to do in this office. We've brought this office from really zero to hero in 6 years. We've still got a lot of work to do. I enjoy serving the taxpayers as their property appraiser. If there's other opportunities that comes down the road, I'm a very, very ambitious person. I've always been ambitious in my life. And if there's a higher office or if there's a better capacity that I feel that I can serve the taxpayers, then of course I'm open. I'm gonna be honest with you. But I gotta have that burning desire in my stomach, right? And if I don't have that burning desire in my stomach to run for any other office, I'm comfortable being the people's property appraiser. I enjoy it tremendously.
All right, so we get these trim notices all the time. AlliMac, I know you have all these questions about trim notices. Please ask.
I do.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
we receive these notices, and now today I found out that they're actually called trim notices. So
Yes.
what is it that we can do? Is that just an assessed value? Is it something that we can call and ask you about it, or is it set in stone, or?
Yeah, so let's define the acronym TRIM. It's truth in millage, right? So it essentially notifies the taxpayer of that they've owned property. It identifies the property, and then it alerts them as to an increase or a decrease or their proposed property tax. Based on everything that we know, this is what taxes you're going to be paying when you get that bill from the tax collector. Remember, the tax collector is the guy that sends you the bill. I don't. I send a property tax notification, which is called TRIM. So
that's what trim is.
Yes, truth in millage. So you get this notice and you disagree with the value, right? So that's a very, very important message I want to communicate to our listeners. What are your options, right? My office and my office really welcome you to call us in a very informal environment. Call us, email us, come down to our office. We want to talk to you. We want to explain to you the process. We want to explain to you the methodology, and we want to explain to you how we derived this number. And I tell every taxpayer that I talk to, at the end of this conversation, you may not agree with me, but I want to be clear that you understand the process and how we got here. And typically, it's folks that just don't understand. Their homestead didn't kick in, or they didn't apply in time, or their neighbors sold for thousands and thousands of dollars more than they were aware of. So they understand after looking at the comparables where we got the value from. The second process is after they've gone through that and they're still dissatisfied, they have the right to file a petition with the Value Adjustment Board and have their case heard in a very formal environment. This is their right. So we implore them, if you are dissatisfied with your value, it is your right to file a petition with the Value Adjustment Board. And ultimately, if you are dissatisfied with that decision, then there's the court system that you can exhaust.
When do I normally receive this trim notice?
So you just received it last August, so this August I should say, about August 15th I think is when we mailed it out, and you received that notice. It's in your home, it's in your mailbox, probably under your rug someplace, but it's there, so we send it out.
Is that the one that says this is not a bill?
This is the one
Yeah,
that says,
Hey, I got
Yeah,
that
boom,
one.
boom, boom,
All
ding,
right.
ding, ding. And not that you want us to do this, but how much time does a citizen, homeowner, whatever, have to actually challenge that, file that petition to
So
challenge?
it's about a 30-day window, so make sure you file your petition and challenge it in the appropriate time.
And then if we do challenge it and have to go in front of the VAB, when does that take place normally?
So that normally will take place, that'll start kicking in about 30 days. So we start ramping up for VAB preparation in about 30 days. And not only homeowners, but the lion's share of challenges we get are from tremendously large businesses.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
And I think last year we had about $40 billion challenged, and we defended every single one of those dollars back to the taxpayers at a rate of 99.9% success
No
rate.
kidding.
Yes.
What is a hearing? What happens at this hearing?
So at the hearing, the petitioner comes in imagine a court. You have a petition. You have a magistrate sitting on one end who is the judge, and then you have one side who is the plaintiff and the defendant. We are defending the value, so we would be the defendants in this case. The plaintiff comes in and essentially pleads his case. My home is valued for X amount of dollars, and I don't feel it should be valued at this. This is why. This is my evidence. And the property appraiser will defend the value and speak as to why he feels that the value is of such. Or he could rest on the presumption of correctness.
Right.
Statutorily, we could rest on the presumption of correctness. And once that's done, the magistrate renders a decision.
So I imagine that some of these hearings, if it's a regular homeowner, are pretty quiet, maybe a couple people. But I also imagine that if it's an amusement park, we might have a team of lawyers in there arguing against you.
Yeah, if it's an amusement park, you get Lottie Dottie and everybody. They even bring these.
Mouse?
Yeah, they even bring those guys.
Right. All out the troops.
Yeah, reinforcement.
Do you know if it's more expensive to reside? We have what, 5-6 county area here in Central Florida. Do you know if it's more expensive to reside in Orange, Lake, Osceola? Is there one county it's the most expensive? One's the most inexpensive? Any idea?
So I mean, it's expense is relative, right? In terms of appraised value, I would say Orange County would be the leader. It's the leader in terms of increase in value. We are the leader in terms of valuation growth. People are moving here for the highest level of growth in terms of population growth. So yeah, in terms of valuation, we would be the highest for the county, I would suspect.
And because we got all those theme parks.
Absolutely.
That's the reason.
Absolutely.
So do you
That's a
see
lot
our
of money.
property values going up? Like for me, for instance, I want to know when is the right time to sell my house.
Yeah, so property values have gone up at a rate of about 10% every year for the last 5 years.
That's
Amazing growth,
Wow.
amazing growth. Again, as I said earlier, when I took office, the tax bill was about $110 billion. Today it's almost $190 billion. All this growth has happened since then, so tremendous growth. Should you sell your home? That's a very relative question. I'm often asked, when is the bubble going to burst, right? That's a question that's so hard to answer because we had this downfall, as Justin just said, in 2008, 2009. But what happened was we had a natural market, but we've got economic stimulus, right? Which was the government infusing artificial money into the system, right? And artificial in the sense of it's not a natural phenomenon for a market to take money from the government and put it into the economic system. So that created some ripple effects. Then you had changes. You had Dodd-Frank, which really got into the market, lending practices, just all aspects of real estate got affected by Dodd-Frank and influence. So you've got that.
They were trying to tighten it up.
Yeah, tighten it up. So you've got the effects of that. And then you have the effects of the internet. This is something, you've got disruption in business. Airbnb was not here in 2008. Airbnb. So to answer those questions, to answer that question, when is the market going to bubble? When is this bubble going to burst? It's really, really a difficult answer. Nobody, I think, can give you. It's like polling. Nobody knows.
Did you say polling?
I said polling, yes.
I'm reminded about Nick.
And then there's that little issue about Mick Dolan and the poll.
Follow our new Facebook at Behind the Law Radio. We also have a contest tomorrow giving away 4 tickets to Disney on Ice. Do I get automatic tickets or do I have to enter to win? I'm gonna get tickets.
You already get 4
2
tickets.
little girls, right?
Oh, man,
Yeah.
I'm about to arm wrestle you.
You can win as well.
All
We're
right.
just getting half.
What would be the appraisal of those tickets?
Oh, yeah.
Fair and equitable.
We have one more segment ahead with Orange County property appraiser Rick Singh right here on Behind the Law on Bud 90.41.
That was going to be on the last segment. Or the last segment.
No, I'll say at the end of this segment. Just flag it. It's fine. So we got tomorrow. We got the people that's bringing Vertical Medical City into
wow.
downtown Orlando. What do you think about that?
I'm sorry, what are they bringing?
The Vertical Medical City into
really?
downtown Orlando.
Is that the
Have any thoughts about
creative
that?
village?
I don't even know
No,
what, I don't
it's
know what
the,
it is.
it's
I
I
gotta
don't
find
know
out.
enough about it. The
Yeah.
virtual medical city?
Vertical.
Oh, vertical medical city. Where is it going?
It's going in Ivanhoe area.
Where?
Ivanhoe?
Yeah, like Ivanhoe area. So
I don't
Where?
know
New
about it.
end of
Construction there?
North Orange. They like just
Yeah.
got the
By the
land.
hospital.
No, it's
By the
where, no,
hospital?
where the funeral home is.
No.
Oh, by Florida Hospital?
yes.
The,
By the
the
funeral
funeral
Ivanhoe.
home is
Ivanhoe,
moving
yeah.
that.
Oh, it's a
Oh.
40-story medical, it's a 40-story vertical medical city.
Oh wow, that's next to the where the Greek restaurant is.
40 stories?
Yeah,
Next to
And
what?
there's like 2 or 3
Like
towers.
Ivanhoe.
on
Oh,
it.
okay, yeah,
$1
yeah.
billion vertical medical city in downtown.
1 million or 1 billion?
1 billion.
What did I
Okay.
say, million? Billion.
Yeah, I was like, no,
You gotta
it's
say it
more
like
than
this,
1
1
billion.
billion.
1 billion.
With a B.
With a B.
Think of the
Hey.
property appraiser. That's
Don't forget the B. They paid for that B. Don't forget the B.
They paid good money for that.
They paid good money for that B. Okay. No.
What have I missed?
Ponte Health?
Ponte Health, yeah.
Ponte?
Ponte.
Ponte Health.
So they're coming in
They're
tomorrow.
on tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
What have I missed? What
I
else
want to
have
see
I
if you want
down?
to get your thoughts on that. But
Let's see.
Are you guys
Do you want-
promoting anything, like awareness, anything?
So we've got satellite offices. We didn't
Okay.
talk about that for term notices. We set up satellite offices. We could talk about that.
in your event,
Let's talk about some outreach events that we do. You know, we always do something humanitarian in the office.
Yeah.
We just did Coalition for Homeless for the children, drive.
well, Kara's gonna be on here next week.
Each month we always try to do something
Yeah.
humanitarian to give back to the community. Let's talk about giving back to the community. Let's end it at that.
All right, you ready?
We're ready.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the show. One more segment here with you on Bud 94.1. Don't forget to watch the TV show or record it Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Behind the Law on Central Florida's 27 WRDQ. If you have any questions for us today, follow us at Behind the Law Radio. You can watch us live, ask us anything there as well. At ATTY Justin Clark. Follow at AlliMac. How do they reach you on the social media thing again?
AlliMac Consulting. I'm on Facebook, AlliMacConsulting.com. I'm on my website, Allie McCarroll. I'm on all
Everywhere.
platforms, everywhere.
McDo-
AlliMac is pretty much how they can reach me.
Orlando radio legend Mick Dolan is here, of course. What's going on at Bud 94.1?
Well, I'm just resting up after yesterday's
Oh, yeah?
big voting polls.
Any events coming up we need to be aware of?
Well, there's the not 5K taco.
Oh, yeah, when is this? I'm going.
September 16th
Okay.
at Ryder Park. It's in Longwood. They've renovated the park.
Oh.
It's not 5K. It's probably not even 5 blocks. But you eat tacos and
While
you
you're
run
running.
and you drink beer. So what else can you know? That
So it's-
pretty much covers the bases.
So it's the only 5K that you actually gain weight, basically, right?
Exercise in name
Ah,
only.
I see.
Yes.
Joined today by Orange County property appraiser Rick Singh. Rick, you know, we sort of danced around the subject before the break, market predictions. Let me make mine. So I think that obviously we're going to level out. Maybe we're already leveling out a little bit. I mean, as quickly as we went down in 2008, 9, 10, we actually went up pretty quickly again in,
Yes.
12,
Yeah.
13, 14, and it's kind of continued that rise, but maybe leveled out a little bit. Here's the difference that I see. In 2006, what you needed to get a loan was a pulse and a pin, right? You could be,
And fog of mirror.
yeah, exactly, fog and mirror. So, I mean, if you could be a dishwasher, nothing wrong with a dishwasher, I'm just saying, you could be someone who's making a lowish hourly wage and go in and get a house for $500,000-$600,000, because the idea was, I'm gonna sign here, I'm gonna flip it right away,
Yeah.
right?
Those were 125% loans.
Oh yeah, 80-20 all day too. You had to put no money down. You literally just had to sign a piece of paper, and it was great. So when you mentioned Dodd-Frank earlier, we have some restrictions now.
Sure.
I mean, you have to go through, giving them all the financial documents. You have to be able to prove that you can pay the mortgage. So we don't have that to deal with at least this time.
Exactly.
So I think we are going to level out. I don't see a big bust coming, but that's just my opinion. What do you think?
So you know, one of the luxuries I have as property appraiser is to look at the permitting that's that's coming, and what's in the pipeline is still tremendous. We still see a lot of growth coming I can tell you for the next 12 months, we will still have a lot of growth in Orange County. So to the leveling out, if it happens after that, I can't speak to, but what I'm seeing as property appraiser, and sometimes I have to pinch myself because I'm looking at this and I saw the car crash of 2008, and I'm waiting for it. I'm very much like you, anticipating this, but the facts and data speak for themselves. we've got a lot of growth still ahead of us.
I mean, they're building these huge developments, you know, just like they were back then with just clearing out land, putting houses everywhere as far as you can see. I mean, the construction business is crazy right
It
now.
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely
New
crazy.
schools
But
going
you know,
up as
talking about building those homes, yes, but we are the fastest growing area. We're outpacing the state of Florida 2-1 in terms of folks coming back to Orange County, and outpacing the nation 3-1. So you know, people are coming back here, whether you want to believe it or not. It's just phenomenal.
But can you find affordable housing?
So that's a whole
There you go.
Yeah.
different
That's the
subject.
problem.
Yeah, affordable housing. So what has happened with affordable housing is, of course, the federal government has taken the meat off the table with affordable housing. So a lot of the big players, one of the largest players in the country, lives right here in Orange County. My good friend Allen Ginsberg, and he's essentially told me, Rick, you know, there's no meat on the table for us, so we essentially are not playing in that environment anymore. So you know, an inventory, of course, in the real estate market is diminished. So affordable housing is almost non-existent in Orange County.
So
But at
what are
least
we
you
gonna
can
do about it?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you do in
You
a
know,
society?
what you've got to do is really, you know, the Sadusky fund is there for affordable housing. That's been rated by the folks in Tallahassee. Our good friends in Tallahassee has rated that funds to fund to balance that budget and make you think you've got an artificial budget that's balanced when they're really rating that fund that's been established for affordable housing. So what you've got to do is use those pots of money for the right purposes. What you've got to do is build affordable housing and make it affordable for investors. A developer is only going to build if he can make profit, right?
Sure.
So again, make it appealing for developers to build, and nonprofits can also get involved into this game. So there are things that we can do, but it's got to be economically feasible for the people that's doing it.
What if I have a question, right? And I don't want to deal with this downtown traffic and parking. I know your office is in downtown, right? Do you have any satellite offices where I can come ask my question?
Funny you mentioned that. We have got about 17 locations, and you know, when I took office in 2012, we've got only one location. It's in the SunTrust Tower, and what we were doing around trim time when we mailed out this notice, the office was renting space in the malls, renting kiosks in the malls. And I looked at them and I'm like, what do you guys pay for this? And I'm like, you know, millions of dollars. Well, I'm just exaggerating. A lot of money. And it was ineffective. My point here is ineffective. You know, at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, or Tuesday midday, or 2 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, the only person in the Fashion Square Mall is a Brazilian shopper. Chances are he don't own property here. So we realized that quickly. And what I did was essentially partnered with a lot of our community agencies, partnered with churches, partnered with other government officials, partnered with fire stations, and we opened strategic locations and we set up satellite offices. And we go out there, we encourage people to come through the medium, through social media and other mediums. They come there, they get help, and we've got a robust satellite office program.
So we get the trim notice in August, right? I'm cool with it, no problem. That's what it tells me what my taxes are going to be. When do I actually get that bill?
The tax collector will send you a bill around September, I believe. You know, I didn't run for that office. I don't know anything about that office.
So that's a whole
But you
different
get
thing.
mistaken for the tax collector.
All the time, all the time.
Yeah.
I get people telling me, "Hey, I write you a check." I'm like, I haven't seen your check.
Go ahead.
What other organizations are you guys involved with within the community as far as like charitable organizations or anything like that?
So I've got a phenomenal staff. You know, anytime I see a philanthropy opportunity, we try to do team building and we get involved. And it would blow your mind the response I get when I make a call to our office, our employees, to come out and help. You know, Toys for Tots, or whether it's back to school programs, or whether it's bringing canned food for Harbor House or whomever. The response is tremendous. They compete with each other. The residential department, the commercial department compete to see who's going to bring more cans in for these events. So we make it very fun, and we make it very, where we serve the community.
So when you're the property appraiser, I mean, this is a political job. It's you're a well-known guy, right? So how do you and you have a family too, then.
I do. I have an amazing family.
But you're not just having to work 9 to 5. You're invited to events. You're invited to be on host committees. You're invited to do this and
Be
that.
on the Justin Clark radio
Be on the
show.
Justin Clark.
Yeah.
We did it during business hours for you, though, so we didn't want you to have to go out at night. But how do you really bide your time? How do you figure out what event to go to? I mean, you have to spend some time with your family, of course, as well. I mean, these nighttime events can really become work.
Justin, you know, I'm afraid one day I'm gonna go home, my family's just gonna be not there, just abandoned me, just left and leave a note, gone because you don't show up.
Yeah.
They've been gone for a week.
Yeah, no, but I've got a great family, and they understand, but it's very taxing. And if there's one challenge that I have as an elected official is learning that balance, because I'm the type of individual that can't say no, you know, so I will try to please everybody and go to every event possible, and I've done that, you know, but there is a price. And sometimes we have to say no, but it's a balancing act, man. It's something I really have not figured out yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Speaking
Stop.
about
Go ahead.
events, I have an event, October 25th.
I'll be there.
Oh, yeah. You said yes to
CFO personal
everything.
remixer,
Yeah.
plug. Be
No, I
there.
actually missed your last one, and I was so sorry I missed it because we were booked for another event. But,
No, I
but
gave
if,
you enough notice.
yes,
now,
if we can make
so
it, we'll be there.
There you go.
Most challenging part of being the Orange County property appraiser.
Wow, big question. Not being able to give everybody the answer that would be pleasing. Sometimes you've got to give them straight facts, and you're going to disappoint
The
folks.
truth hurts.
Yeah.
The truth hurts, you know. Sometimes, you know, and so you know, but that's probably the most disappointing part of my job. Folks not understanding my position and thinking, we've got. I was given a quote from one of my predecessors, and it's emblazoned, framed and emblazoned in my office, and it basically says, "We appraise property, not people." Right, and that's very profound because in my office we essentially try to be fair and equitable, and sometimes the truth, as you said, hurts.
Well, it's not just your business either, it's every business. We all, anyone who's consumer driven, we're going to deal with people who just don't understand. You're never going to help them understand, you know what I mean? So don't let it get you down, of course.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you have to give bad facts to someone, they're just not going to like it.
Yeah, you know, I just had this post on Instagram where this lady posted, and she said, you know, oh my God, my taxes went up, and I called last year, and you know, I can't believe you've done this to me, and I called you personally, and all this whole stuff. So I kind of did the research, and I did the research. Our taxes went up $2.
Yeah.
$2.
That's a lot.
Right? Yeah.
For her.
And her property was like a $400,000 property, and her taxes went up $2. I'm like, I wish my property would go up $2. My taxes would go up $2. My taxes went up like thousands of dollars. I can't complain. Who am I going to complain to? Justin Clark is listening to me.
I'll sue them. Don't worry. You have enough money, we'll sue them. I'm just kidding. We definitely wouldn't do that. When's the next election for you?
I run again in 2020. If I'm lucky enough to run, hopefully I'll be running again in 2020.
Well,
in
we
the presidential
will-
cycle. That's going to be well. I mean, I say that word. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well,
Every election is interesting
It
these
is.
days,
Well,
it seems like.
that, ladies and gentlemen, was your Orange County property appraiser, Rick Singh. Rick, I can't thank you enough for being here today. It was great to get to know you a
Thank
little
you
bit.
so much. It's been a lot of
You
fun.
got it. And don't forget to watch the program Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Central Florida's 27. We're here with you every single weeknight on Bud 94.1. Watch us live on Facebook at ATTY. Justin Clark AlliMac, good job today.
Thank you.
Mick Dolan, you know, I don't know much,
I know you don't.
but I do know one little thing.
Yes.
I will see you right back here tomorrow on Bud 94.1.
Little truth there. So hopefully the mics were.
Did we end up talking about the state of Orange County real estate?
We didn't end up doing that. We
That
still,
was
that's
the
the
first
first
thing.
Yeah.
That's the first thing we talked about.
Yeah, that was the first thing that we
I was like, did we end up talking
Yeah,
about
what
this?
did we do?
spoke about.